All right, guys, it's finally happened. The USA now has a crypto strategic reserve, not even a Bitcoin strategic reserve like they had planned and previously spoken about. So this is something that people have been predicting for a very long time would always happen. But at the same time, it feels a little bit unreal because if you remember back to a few years ago, it wouldn't even be imaginable. Yes, people were predicting that it would happen eventually, but it was one of those things where it was just like, we'll see it when we get it. But until then, I don't believe it. Well, it's finally happened. And what do you know? The prices of all the coins has decided to drop. I think what has happened nowadays is basically we've had so much good news over the last couple years, especially the last year, that I think people have just started to become a little bit numb to it. So let's say 2 years ago, or let's say 4 years ago, if there was a bit of positive news, it would be like the only bit of positive news. Everything else would be negative, and then there would be a piece of positive news that would come out, and suddenly the prices would rocket up, and it would be the best thing in the world. Nowadays, or in this cycle at least, because we've had so much good news, it just feels like whatever, it's just another piece of good news, is what it is, we just want to see the prices go up. And you hear a lot of YouTubers saying, is this going to be a buy the rumor, sell the news kind of thing? Or how is this going to play out? And the truth is that nowadays we don't even know. We don't know whether a piece of good news is actually going to send the market up or cause it to crash down. And what this tells me is the fact that we're not really going on news anymore. I think people are kind of over the fact that news will have some effect, but you can't predict like, the next pump is going to be after this piece of news. The next pump is going to be after this piece of news. Now, I was telling people, I think once they get the ETF, the Bitcoin and ETH ETF, the prices are going to fly. And even that had a bit of a delayed reaction, if I remember back. So they did fly after that news, but I don't remember it being so immediate. I could be off on that, but I think it took a little bit of time for it to kick in. Potentially, I think this piece of news could do the same thing, because although the ETF is massive, the Bitcoin ETH and all the altcoin ETFs that are probably going to come are huge, and they are basically just another way for money to enter the markets, which obviously means the value of the markets is going to increase. But at the same time, countries buying crypto, to me, feels like equally as big news, especially the USA doing it. Obviously, we had El Salvador last cycle, and that's all well and good, but El Salvador is a very small country. So the fact that this cycle, we have the USA, now we don't actually know if they're going to be buying these cryptocurrencies or if they're simply going to be holding the ones that they've already seized from criminal groups, for example. But the fact that they are saying we're going to have a crypto strategic reserve is a big thing. Now, if you think about it, okay, even if the USA doesn't go and buy more Bitcoin, more crypto to put into their reserve, what about the other countries that haven't seized any Bitcoin or any cryptocurrencies from criminal groups? They're most likely going to look at the USA doing this and think, if the USA is doing it, maybe we should get on top of this, because this could be a very big opportunity that we're going to miss out on, and we don't want to be last. We'd rather front run the USA, or at least get in at the same time as them, rather than end up being left behind. Because if Bitcoin does end up being this huge thing that everyone uses, we don't want to be left without any of it. So, to me, this being passed is huge news, regardless of what the price does in the short term. Because in the long term, this is going to be massive. Remember, guys, there are only 21 million Bitcoin. And whilst a lot of people do choose to invest in the altcoins and play in the altcoin markets, Bitcoin is the king. Bitcoin leads the way. And the fact that there are only, 19 million and a few 100,000, I believe, coins available on the market, as we're not at the 21 million yet. The fact that there are only X amount of coins available. We've also lost some coins. You know, people have them from a long time ago. There aren't actually that many coins that are actively available to buy and sell. They're on the markets, they are on exchanges for people to buy. So if countries start picking them up, long term, of course, that's going to be huge. Now, I know a lot of YouTubers will say, once that happens, the price is just going to skyrocket. We've seen this cycle. There is so much manipulation going on that it doesn't really matter what's going on or what news comes out. The price is going to do whatever it wants to do, or whatever the market makers want it to do. And a lot of those other buys from big companies and from the ETFs and stuff, they're not the same way that we buy the coins. They're not buying on the exchanges. They're doing OTC stuff. So it doesn't even really influence the price that much in the short term. So the way I would be looking at this whole thing is, okay, this is really big for crypto. Doesn't really matter what happens now. I'm not going to try and use it to predict when the next pump is going to be, or I'm not going to try and think, what's it going to do? Is it going to send the market up or down? It doesn't really matter. This is more of a historic moment for crypto. The thing that we thought was going to get banned in the past has now become part of US politics. That's pretty crazy. Or rather, it's become a part of the US financial plan, which is just absolutely crazy. So for those of you that are watching this video that have doubts about crypto being the future, Bitcoin being the future, if this doesn't tell you that Bitcoin and crypto is the future, I really don't know what else will. So that's it for this one, guys. Don't get too caught up on the price action after this news came out. No one really knows what the price is going to do in the short term, but in the long term, this is huge. It kind of feels weird that it's not being talked about more, that there's not more news coverage of this, but I'm sure once the prices start pumping, then you'll see all the news coverage come out. You'll see it plastered everywhere. That seems to be how crypto is now. Depending on what the price is doing, kind of basically dictates how much crypto is shown in the news, which I find kind of funny, but I guess it's logical, so it is what it is. But anyway, guys, hope you enjoyed the video. Like, comment, share, and subscribe, and I'll see you again in the next one.